Will Lofdahl is the Chief Executive Officer of SaskTel Centre and been in the news lately with the talk of a downtown arena and convention centre. I've asked Will to come today and give us a little bit of insight into his role and what's been happening in his job over there. Will, thanks for taking time out to come and see us today.
Well, thanks for having me on the program today, Randy. Very much appreciate it.
I want to talk a bit about you yourself, because you've been doing this a while and not all in Saskatoon. What is your background and how did you end up in the city here in your role?
I've been in this industry for some 30 years.
Oh.
I started at the Fiesta Bowl in Tempe, Arizona. Went to the Michigan Thanksgiving Parade Foundation and ran parades for a while. Then went to an arena in Missouri and did the event coordinating function there, and then went to the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, and handled the booking and the marketing for that facility, and then went to New Mexico State University, where I ran their 13,000 seat arena and their 40,000 seat stadium, and then I became the assistant general manager of the Georgia Dome, which is a 71,250 seat indoor stadium downtown Atlanta, which was the home of the Atlanta Falcons until just last year, where they moved into a new facility. So now I'm here.
So you're still kind of green, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thing. I want to ask you a bit about your role now with SaskTel Centre, because the building is 30 years old, and it's brought a lot of interesting acts here, and it's certainly put Saskatoon at the forefront in the past 3 decades, and nothing's forever. So what is happening with the building and the vision for the future?
Well, I think you make a very good point. The facility has served the community very well for the last 3 decades, as has TCU Place served the community for the last 5 decades. But now our public assembly facilities, which is the convention center and the arena, constitute the public assembly facilities for the city of Saskatoon. They're aging. So it's incumbent upon us to come up with a plan to ensure that the community has good facilities for many decades to come. So right now we're working on creating a plan and then seeing that plan through, whatever that may be.
When you look at a project of that undertaking, what are the stepping stones that you look for in that sea that you're walking through? In terms of size, appropriate size for a city of our population, and the trade area. We have the Mosaic Stadium in Regina serving all of the province. This certainly is a magnet. Can you tell us a little bit? I understand from tourism that a show like Garth Brooks attracted many people here, and the economic spin-off of an event like that over a number of days is quite substantial.
We had 93,000 people that came to that event during its 4-day run at SaskTel Centre. The economic impact was $10 million to the city of Saskatoon and the province of Saskatchewan. 1/3 of all the people that came to that event came from outside the province. So it had a significant positive impact on the community. The restaurants, the hotels, the local businesses certainly benefited from that. The first part of your question, what size facility is appropriate for our market? We actually brought in a consulting group, HLT Advisory, out of Toronto, to take a look at our facility, to assess its remaining useful life, and to tell us if it had remaining useful life, how much longer that useful life would be. If it didn't have useful life, what they suggested the next steps would be. They suggested that our facilities, along with TCU Place, are reaching the end of their useful life, and that successor facilities that we should begin the process of planning for successor facilities. And they also recommended that we put those successor facilities downtown, and that the facilities be a complex, a joint facility with the arena and the convention center in close proximity to one another to allow for synergy, so that we could host larger events and more complex events. But as far as the actual size of the arena, which is also part of what you asked, 15,000 seats is what they recommended for a community of our size going forward.
So what kind of pressures do you face now with the acts that are coming that the building can't handle? Are there staging apparatus that the new bands and so on are bringing, the pyrotechnics, and the amount of semis that need to unload quickly for a trip overnight to the next city? Are we not able to accommodate that anymore?
Our rigging beams are not as high as they would like. Many shows would like them to be higher because shows are getting bigger and bigger, and everybody always wants to do more pyrotechnics, have louder, well, have more sound.
Sure.
So it's bigger, bigger, bigger. And we are reaching the point where some shows are teetering on whether or not they can come. I mean, Metallica, which was a show we just had a few months ago, the highest grossing ticket-wise single concert performance in the history of the venue. Also the most people we've ever had in that venue at any given time. And we almost weren't able to have that show in that facility because they were going to hang more weight than, well, they were on the cusp of the amount of weight we could hang from our steel. So, and Garth Brooks, same way. They wanted to hang things higher, and we almost lost that show a couple years ago because of our configuration. In addition to that, loading dock. We have one loading dock, one place where you can back up a truck and back right off. We have other bays where you can back a truck in, but you got to ramp off of them, and that's less convenient.
Right.
And we operate in a world of convenience. Everybody wants to take the path of least resistance, and when you've got a concert tour on the road, the path of least resistance means it's less expensive, and it's very expensive to have these shows on the road. So they want to economize. We also have inadequate dressing room facilities, and there are kitchens in this community in homes that are larger than the kitchen that we have at SaskTel Centre. Our concourses are narrow. We don't have enough counter space for selling concessions. There's a whole host of challenges that we have at the facility, and we need to come up with a way to make things more comfortable for those that bring shows to our venue, and also those who pay their hard-earned dollars to come to shows at our venue.
What are you seeing with the circuit, if you will, of the different cities that acts are following or looking? How do we measure up? Because I can't imagine that Winnipeg's done or Edmonton's done, and Vancouver and so on. How do we fit in that whole loop of Canadian cities for the tour group?
On the major cities, like if you're doing a concert tour and you're starting in the West Coast and you're heading east, you got Vancouver, you've got Calgary, you've got Edmonton, you've got Winnipeg, you've got Saskatoon. We are the oldest arena of those communities, and we're also the smallest community. When the production manager for the band Queen walks in the building and says, "We're an A band and you're a B building," that ought to tell us something.
I haven't heard it put that way before, but it is bringing it down to the root of what we need, and nothing stays the same, I would imagine, for some of these acts. What do you say to people that might argue that, well, I've never been to the arena in 4 or 5 years, and I only go once every 10 years, or I don't go to the Rush games or the Blade games, and I can't imagine anyone staying at home for that long and not seeing that. But it's not just games and acts. There's other trade shows and so on that can use your building as well.
We do about 110 events at the facility every year. We're the home floor of the Rush, and also the home of the Blades. About 25 concerts a year, and also this weekend we've got the Sundog Arts and Crafts Fair there.
Right.
So we've got a little something for everybody throughout the course of the year. But what if we didn't have SaskTel Centre? That's the question that I think one should ask oneself. If the facility wasn't there, what would the community lose? And the community would lose a lot. If you wanted to go to a major concert, you'd have to go to Winnipeg or Edmonton or Calgary. And if you wanted to see a sporting event of any magnitude, you'd have to go somewhere else. And that's what makes a community a community. That's what makes a community thrive. That's what makes a community grow, is the community that has elements that people enjoy, and elements that attract people so they want to be there.
You mentioned the term public assembly, and I find that interesting because it's not just an arena and convention center. It's a place where people meet. Do you see the synergies based on their recommendations of the report to have it located in the downtown area as a strong vote for more success because it's closer to the hotels and transit and things of that nature?
Yeah, it would be positive on both dimensions. It would be positive for all the businesses downtown, and be positive for the facilities that move downtown. you take a look at where they're building facilities these days, and they're building them downtown. And they're building them downtown for a reason, because the facilities, along with the other elements of downtown, help to create a place where people want to be. They want to live there. They want to spend time there. They want to enjoy the downtown. And a city with a vibrant downtown is a healthy city.
When you hear people say, but there's no parking if this goes downtown, what's a response or an encouraging word from you about how to get to an event, 15,000 people, when there's no place that I can park my car?
Well, every city of any magnitude, of any size, has that same challenge, and the same concern is brought up, and they're able to make it work either through mass transit or utilizing the parking spaces that already exist. The combination of those two elements make it work. And the city is working on their bus rapid transit system, and they're working on it in conjunction with where the public assembly facilities will be located in the future. So those plans are being worked together.
I find it interesting, and you've been to so many centers that you worked at, and I appreciate that worldly experience you bring to the table. And I've attended concerts and games in other cities with 90 or 92,000 seats. People walk and take buses and transit in an orderly fashion, and there's a lot of events leading up to the actual main event and post-event capture of those crowds. What do you see as a success that council's done in identifying, let's say not necessarily the location, but a commitment to a focus on these facilities? What do you have to say about what they've done?
I think it's a very important next step that City Council and City Administration have identified a need to create a long-term plan for our facilities. For, as we've mentioned earlier in this interview, they're important for the community. So it's important to create a plan or a path so that these facilities or their successors can be a thriving component of the community for many decades to come.
I think we're on our way, and I appreciate that background you bring to the table and can share with us. I wish you all the success, and I'm sure we'll see more of you in the coming years ahead as this planning process unfolds.
Well, thanks for having me on the program today, Randy. I very much appreciate it.
Good. We'll be right back.